And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another day, another week, another round of WTL World Team League 2024 season, or the summer season of 2024. Welcome. Thank you so much for the raid. Sort of. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session. Welcome, everyone, to another day of World Team League. Of course, we were live yesterday with day one, and yesterday we had quite a number of matches here. We had Team Vitality versus Starlight Twinkle, followed by Offside versus Psystorm Na'Vi, and we had some insane matches. I highly recommend checking out the VODs. I recommend watching Offside versus Psystorm Na'Vi. There were some very close games, very clutch games in that series. Oh, my apologies. Bam. Got to pick that up. Very close games in that series, but now we return with day 2. And here in day number 2 of round 3, we have Twisted Fairy versus Berserker eSports. Later on in the evening, we're going to be covering CranKy Gaming versus Platinum R8. So 2 best of 7s back-to-back, 2 Team League matches. For those of you that are maybe unfamiliar, World Team League is the most prestigious team league in StarCraft, has been running for a couple of years now, and the best of the best teams are involved. Teams like Basilisk, teams like Shopify, you have Team Vitality, you have CranKy Gaming, to name a few, the best of the best. Unfortunately, if there are some key players that you're a fan of that aren't a part of these teams, then they are not involved. Specifically players like Hero Marine, for example, or until recently, Showtime. Of course, Showtime did join forces with Basilisk to take part in this event, and we were able to showcase, or we should be able to showcase them tomorrow. But for today, we have Twisted Fairy versus Berserker eSports, and here we go. We have our first matchup. We have Stats versus GunGFuBanDa. If you're in the chat, predictions are open. And let's have a look at the predictions in our Discord. Okay, we have a lot of faith in the 2-0 for Stats. We have 37% in favor of the 1-1 between our two players here. 0 believe in the 2-0 from GunGFuBanDa. It's a hard one to call. I'm pretty sure I was in the 1-1 boats. I'm pretty sure I did predict 1-1. I was among some of those people that did go for that prediction. GunGFuBanDa has been looking quite solid as of late. That's the thing right now, is that GunGFuBanDa, if you haven't been watching a lot of the regional events, a lot of these online weeklies, or even WTL, you might not be aware of the return of GunGFuBanDa and his return to form. And GunGFuBanDa hasn't been looking too bad at all. At the same time, you have Stats also on the rise. Stats pre-IEM Katowice this year, Stats was struggling, to be honest, but I don't know what it was about IEM. Post Katowice, Stats has been on fire, and here we go. We're diving into game number 1. In the top left, we have Stats. For Twisted Fairy. In the top right corner, we have GunGFuBanDa for Berserker eSports. Let's go. Again, predictions in the chat have now closed, so best of luck to all of you that did place your bets to try to gain those channel points. And here we go. We are diving into game 1. Ghost River is going to be an interesting one, of course. It is a short rush distance by ground. It does not have a ramp leading into the natural. It looks like we're going for 2 gate openers. 2 gate openers all around from GunGFuBanDa and from Stats. So far, everything is looking as it should. For the time being, I should say. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on either our players. Just because we don't go for a proxy pylon initially, this could still lead into a 1-base all-in. So we'll keep an eye on Stats and GunGFuBanDa. Let's go. Catching up with the chat. Hello, papi. Oh, hello, Rero. Hello, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? I see Rero in the chat. I see Thorn. I see 16 Squad Senseki, Kuro, of course. Again, if I didn't emphasize it earlier, a big shout out to Sordo for a massive raid. Welcome, everyone, welcome. Of course, we're live every single day here on the CranKy Ducklings, and over the weekend, we are focused on WTL on World Team League. Almost every single weekend, we have some WTL action going on here. I say almost every single weekend, there's a bit of a PSA, but I believe next weekend there will not be any WTL. There won't be any World Team League. The reason for this, though, is because next weekend we have Stars War 11. Stars War 11 is finally returning after all these major events have concluded, and we have another big premier tournament taking place in the land of China. For now, though, we do see GunGFuBanDa hiding his second pylon at his natural base location, so he's making it look like a proxy. He's faking out an all-in here, or at least a proxy in the face of Stats. Likewise, Stats also hides his first pylon as well, just outside his natural in the middle of the map. This will not be a bad location for a proxy Stargate, but no, it's going to be a proxy Robo. Oh my god, okay. Papi. Proxy Robo from Stats, proxy Stargate from GunGFuBanDa. Now, we're in a really interesting position. Okay. So, First things first, stats, one base all in. Stats, he's going for one base all in to kick things off. It's going to be a robo. We're going to be seeing perhaps a third gateway behind this. We're going to be just doubling down on a one base play. Meanwhile, GunGFuBanDa, I would usually not really favor him in this position, but the probe scout does confirm the Stargate. I was about to say that usually a proxy Stargate is out on the map to harass our opponent with some Oracle harass, but this Stargate is actually at home. It's right next to the main, so we can reinforce with Void Rays once we realize what's going on. For now, Oracle. GunGFuBanDa, he's got his Oracle in production to send that across the map to deal some economic damage. On one side, the Void Ray is going to be very quick to reinforce the main base. True, but on the other side, that Stargate is very exposed. And I'm sure that Stats, once he commits to his all-in, is going to be going right for that Stargate to depower it, to shut it down. Meanwhile, from the side of GunGFuBanDa, shading across the map with a handful of adepts, the first Oracle has arrived, second Oracle's in production. From the side of Stats, the War Prism is coming, and there's a third gateway on the way in the main base. Again, we mentioned it before, but Stats is all in. Oh boy. Stalker shot's going to be going off. So far, good control out of GunGFuBanDa. He does recall back home. One adept goes down. Big pick off here from Stats. Is going to be pushing it across the map. Meanwhile, GunGFuBanDa, has he realized what's going on? He's okay, for a moment there, it looked like he had expanded, but he does cancel the natural base. He pulls back to the main. He's now aware of what's going on. He's now aware of the all-in, but he made two Oracles. Now we have a shield battery on the way. Now we have a robo. Again, GunGFuBanDa, he has pieces together, but is it too little too late? Can he do anything about this? The Stargate gets depowered immediately. There will not be a Void Ray. And GunGFuBanDa, he's in a world of hurt right now. He's supply blocked. He supply blocked from the pylon earlier. Another pylon going to be going down as well. And again, he has limited production. No Stargate available. No Void Rays. Two gateways. That's all he has. He's going for a big counterattack across the map. He does get a handful of probes, but this pales in comparison to the army of Stats. And Stats, he's knocking down that front door. GunGFuBanDa, he still can't warp in. He's still supply blocked. Finally, with the completion of this pylon, he can warp in. The Immortal just now begins, but the Immortal is so late. And Stats with another reinforcing wave of Stalkers. He should be able to bust into this main. Going for sentries instead. Okay. I mean, with these sentries, he can force field. Of course, there's no blink. There's no War Prism. There's no way to avoid the force fields. Stats can lock down the army. He's slowly going for the gateway. Gateway is going to go down. Again, we're warping in one unit at a time, and the warping will barely finish. And now the gateway will go down. As I say that, here comes the Immortal. GunGFuBanDa trying to fight for that gateway. He has his own sentry as well. He's holding. He's holding on for dear life, getting into a second Immortal behind this. Stats also getting into his own Immortal production as well. Oracles, they dip back in, but Stats, he has kept 3 Stalkers back at home with a shield battery as well. Stats, he's perfectly safe and sound. It's GunGFuBanDa who's trying to hold on. Now, Stats has a choice to make. He can either try to break the main and try to kill his opponents, or contain his opponent on one base and expand himself. So we have 2 options available here for Stats. What are we going for? Do we go for the kill, or do we try to expand? Now we do see the Immortal taking a bit of damage. We do save it though. No hull damage. We catch an Immortal! Beautiful force fields here from Stats, and 1 Immortal goes down. Big pick off. Just like that, cutting the Immortal count in half for GunGFuBanDa. Behind this second Immortal, it's on the way for Stats, so he does have an Immortal advantage. He throws down the Nexus, he does expand. So Stats, he has made his decision here. I mean, he's not pushing into the main base, he's expanding, he's transitioning, he has the economic lead. And his goal now is to contain, is to just keep GunGFuBanDa on one base for as long as possible. And just outscale GunGFuBanDa. Meanwhile, he hasn't outscaled GunGFuBanDa yet. GunGFuBanDa, he has his own War Prism, which means even if he gets caught by a force field again, he can save himself. He can load up and get the hell out of there. He has more Immortals on the way. GunGFuBanDa, there's still a window here where he can go for his own one base all in. The turns can table on Stats, and the red Protoss, he can try to go for an all in himself. Still building up. We can see Stats is getting ready for his defenses back at home. 2 stasis traps. I keep wanting to say shield batteries. Oh my god. But stasis traps have been thrown down. And we do get a couple of worker kills. 2, 3 probes going to be going down across the map. Very well done here by Stats. Oh, sorry, that was GunGFuBanDa with the stasis traps. But Stats, he sees them ahead of time, Poppy. Oh my god. Does bait out those stasis with 1 Stalker each. Very nicely done. Sorry, my apologies. I'm still gathering my bearings here. It's all good. The Immortal Harasser custom map, getting a couple of free units here. Stay straps, I didn't really add much of anything. And here comes GunGFuBanDa with his all-in. That's going to be a third Immortal coming out. Looking at the supplies, they are quite close. It's going to come down to the micro. On top of that, these Oracles have potential. Whether it's stasis traps or even activating their pulsar beams, they can make something happen. Here we go. We do force field the army. But Blink is done. Yeah, stats with the shield battery as well. He's able to hold on. Does have an overcharge available as well. Bleeding out a couple of stalkers. More stasis traps have been thrown down at the same time. All back at home, we're bleeding out a lot of robes. There's the overcharge. Yeah, stats he's holding. GG gets called even without his own immortals. It's not going to be enough, and stats takes game number 1. Whew. GG. The Shield of Ire, really? Turning things on their head here, turning expectations on their head, and oh, sorry, my apologies, wrong scene. Bam, there we go. And turning into the Spear of a Dune here, going for his own one base all-in. Now, to be fair, if you've been familiar with stats as of late, over the past year, I would say, of play, you would know that stats, especially in PvP, he's willing to be aggressive and willing to go all-in. Long gone are the days where he was known as being only a defensive macro player. Nowadays, he is more diverse than that, you know. He's now an ex-military man, you know, he came out and he's a changed man as well, and you know, now we do see some cheese from time to time, or even more often than not in a PvP. So, yeah, stats nowadays willing to get down and dirty with his opponents. And we saw the GunGFuBanDa. Unfortunately, it took him too long to realize what was happening. Again, it was also an unfortunate build for him to go for a proxy Stargate at his natural base location. As you saw, it was so exposed. It meant that it got shut down. It meant that we couldn't make use of it. Otherwise, if it was in the main base or even to the south outside of the main, then we could have seen maybe some Void Rays help supports, like a more secure way to not just defend on one base, but to break out. That's what's important, to break out and to hold on to the natural and fend off that eventual all-in. GunGFuBanDa instead, his tech was kind of thrown by the wayside. On top of that, he also got supply blocked after losing those pylons as well, so his production got delayed. A lot was working against GunGFuBanDa and in favor of stats, but now we're getting into game number 2, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have stats for Twisted Fairy. And in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent, we have GunGFuBanDa for Berserker eSports. Here we go. Whew. Let's go, Bobby, let's go. See in chat, GG, the Shield of Ire. GunGfu so mad, things are about to get real. I mean, again, I have faith. I definitely have faith here in GunGFuBanDa to bounce back here against stats. But again, GunGFuBanDa has to be wary here because stats is no longer a kind of a predictable macro player like he once was. Like, again, he can spice things up. We do have to keep eyes on him. We do have to prioritize scouting as well of stats to make sure that we don't get bamboozled like we were in game number 1. So here we go. Initially, we do have 2 gate openers from both stats and GunGFuBanDa. We have the same openers to begin with. Do we go for, once again, proxy pylons? Do we try to hide or even commit to a proxy itself? Way to find out. Probes are moving out. Ooh, we can see stats. He is moving towards the left-hand side. This is going to be for a proxy pylon location. This will not be a bad location for a proxy Stargate, to be honest, on the other side of these rocks. So I'm leaning towards maybe a proxy Stargate if we do end up throwing down that pylon. Speaking of, the pylon has been thrown down. Meanwhile, GunGFuBanDa with his own probe doesn't go for a proxy location. GunGFuBanDa, he's moving in for a scout. Is moving in for a scout. Ooh, looks like we have a little bit of buffering here. Hopefully everything is okay. For those that are curious, we do cast from a clean feed. We aren't in the games ourselves, and are we good? I think no, we're not. Oh, the stream may have gone down. No, WTL. Hold on one moment here. As it looks like, yeah, there's something wrong with the clean feed. Let me just quickly double check. There is a backup clean feed. Okay, I think it's working. Is it? Yes, it is working. Okay. Hold on. I got you, Papi. I got you. It's all good. Whew. Okay. Okay, we're good. So for those that are curious, we cast from a clean feed, not just ourselves, but every single caster out there, you know, ourselves, Wardy, Rotterdam, the other language casters as well. And sometimes, and the clean feed comes from, of course, the Chinese organizers and production team. Sometimes it does go down, but we're good. There is a backup clean feed that we were able to gain access to. Whew. Okay. The quality of this feed might be a little bit lower, but at least we have it. And if the original clean feed comes back up, then we'll head on over to it. It's all good. Meanwhile, we're easing our way into this. We missed out on like a minute of play. It looks like Sats did go for a proxy pylon, but did not commit to it. Just like just a fake proxy pylon across the map. Meanwhile, GunGFuBanDa went for a 2-gate opener into an expansion. We have Blink on the way from GunGFuBanDa. Stats going for a robo follow-up. Interesting. Okay, so we're kind of diverting our builds already here. GunGFuBanDa coming in with Hallucination Scouts. Checking across the map. Meanwhile, Stats moving in with his main army. Again, both players have expanded. There were no proxies, no cheeses, no early game all-ins. But we have deviated our builds. Oh, good force move. Do catch a Stalker? Who catches who? One Stalker goes down. Oh, GunGFuBanDa with the counter force fields, not able to catch Stats. Was a bit of a waste there from GunGFuBanDa, a little bit trigger happy. And no shield battery. Uh-oh. This is a bit of a lapse in judgment here. No shield battery from GunGFuBanDa. Should have already been here on the low ground. Boys have to be pulled. Backup shield battery on the way was misplaced. Has to be rebuilt. GunGFuBanDa stumbling a little bit. Now is not the time to be indecisive here and not the time for these mistakes. But there we go. Shield battery gets thrown back down. Stats getting to his immortal production. And thankfully, GunGFuBanDa, he does hold. Stats backs off. Whew. Stats, he does back up. Now, there's a bit of a give and take that's going on right now. We did miss out on like a minute of play. It looks like there wasn't really much going on here. GunGFuBanDa is going with Blink, so he has a more mobile army. He has a much more flexible mobile composition to work with. Meanwhile, Stats, he's not going for Blink. With a Robo, we're going for Immortal production. Going for a hefty Immortal count, so in a head-to-head fight, Stats will be able to take down his opponent. But GunGFuBanDa can avoid the main fight. He can go for a counterattack, hit the third base, blink into the main, pick off some key units, and out-micro his opponent. So we're going to have that kind of give and take here between GunGFuBanDa and Stats. Both players are taking their third bases. Both players are working towards the mid-game. We can see GunGFuBanDa poking in. Likewise, force fields is going to be key as well, as Stats won't have a way to avoid those force fields. And there we go, we lock down some of those units, but the Immortal does fend GunGFuBanDa back. An Ipse Shade into the main, and we're getting some probe damage. Workers are going to be going down. 2 workers so far. Oh, we get a third. At the same time, GunGFuBanDa diving on the main army, but he does not break through. 2 Adepts go down for 3 probes. That's okay. Meanwhile, GunGFuBanDa, he wants the Immortal. He wants it, and he is going to get it. Yeah, Stats does overextend out of range of the shield battery. Good pick off here from GunGFuBanDa, but he has to be careful. You can see how softened up this army is. Deep in the orange and the red, the Stalkers, they have to back off. But thankfully, GunGFuBanDa does keep most of his Stalkers alive. I'm in game, GunGFu won. It's the Colossal. GunGFuBanDa does make it back home. You can see the trades here, 1 Stalker for 1 Immortal. Pretty good trade for GunGFuBanDa. What's a little bit scary here is that with how much damage he did sustain, it is gonna soften up his army for the next big fight. His army is gonna be a little bit more vulnerable. Charges on the way for both players. I believe Stats skipped Blink. He's going straight into charge. Gateway explosions are on the way. GunGFuBanDa ahead in economy. And even rushing into a 4th, so is Stats. Honestly, GunGFuBanDa, he's in a good position. Like, he's in a good position at the moment. I wouldn't say amazing, but good for the time being. Has a better economy, sniped some key units, preserved his own. So far, so good. Meanwhile, Stats likewise building up. With the arrival of this War Prism, it looks like GunGFuBanDa is soon to be active. With the War Prism, we're going to be moving out across the map. We're going to have chargelets to reinforce. What's important here is that, yes, Stats does have the Immortal advantage, that is true, but chargelets will complicate things. Chargelets, they do an amazing job at just tanking both Immortal and Stalker shots, and if you can overwhelm the army with Zealots, then your Stalkers in the back line do so much more damage. They can break through, they can focus on those Immortals. GunGFuBanDa can overwhelm Stats. Meanwhile, we can see Stats hunting down an Observer. Going to be reducing some of that map vision that GunGFuBanDa does have. Blink now on the way for stats. Again, the one thing that he's missing compared to GunGFuBanDa is now on the way. GunGFuBanDa still has that advantage. Here we go. Meanwhile, when it comes to the upgrades, we're neck and neck. 2-2 is on the way for both players, and they're, what, a second or two apart. Nothing too major. GunGFuBanDa looks like he's not going to be reinforcing with that prism. He's going to be going for a counterattack instead. Okay. Main army is spotted. Stats' main army was spotted, I should say. GunGFuBanDa going to pull back. At the same time, drop into the natural, forcing a recall. Very nicely done. We got a handful of probes to force the recall. At the same time, GunGFuBanDa, his main army, working towards the fourth. Stats is out of position. He is out of position right now, but he does rotate over with a handful of units. Zealots and an Immortal are here. But GunGFuBanDa, he can overwhelm this. He can take the fight. Prism in the main goes down. But now we are up to 3 Immortals, and Stats did pop the overcharge. Stats holds. Stats holds on. GunGFuBanDa behind this, going for a Dark Shrine. I believe Stats did spot it. Does have eyes on it. Yeah, with the Observer. Is aware of that Dark Shrine. Should be getting cannons back at home. GunGFuBanDa pulling back. Bearing in mind that Blink is now done for Stats, so we are neck and neck when it comes to upgrades in more ways than one, more than just the Forge upgrades. But we have a Templar Archives in production for GunGFuBanDa. Now, we were talking about the effectiveness of Zealots and how devastating they can be. That is true, but that gets stripped away with Archons. Give your army 2, maybe 3 Archons, and you can just annihilate a wave of Zealots. That is why both players should be heading in that direction. We can see GunGFuBanDa is the first to tech up into Archon tech. Stats is one step behind. But can he hit before we have any Archons? Here we go. Stats taking in 5th base, moving out with his main army. We can see once again GunGFuBanDa going for another drop towards the natural. Main army has been spotted. GunGFuBanDa pulls back. He's getting ready, going for a big warp in. Templar Archives is done, but where are the Archons? They're not ready. There we go. We have 1 Archon in production. Zealot drop comes in. Do we have a recall? Sorry, I thought it was Zealots. It's going to be DTs. And where are the cannons? Stats, he scouted the Dark Shrine. Remember that. With that Observer. But he pushes on forward. He does catch some Zealots. A good start to the fight for Stats, but he's losing his economy. 13, 14, 15 probes going to be going down. The natural as well. Stats is all in. Stats is all in. He dives on the main army. Those 3 Immortals doing so much in the back line. And Stats, he has too much. He's a 40 army supply. We do have a couple of DTs though. And where's the detection for Stats? But it's only 2 DTs. Like, they're not doing enough. They need to be faster here. They need to do more damage. Stats blinking on top of the army. Immortals are being focused down. Can GunGFuBanDa hold? Stats, he does have an Observer in production, and he does clean up the entire army here of GunGFuBanDa, but those 2 DTs, the Invisible Man, they're holding. They're keeping GunGFuBanDa in this game, but still that army is terrifying. And that detection for Stats, it's coming. There it is, the Observer, it's on its way. I feel like GunGFuBanDa could have been a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more assertive with these Dark Templar, but GG gets called. We have detection, and Stats will take the series 2-0. Whew. GG. Oh, GG. GG, well played. GunGFuBanDa, he did put up a fight, and again, he forced the all-in. He was crippling the economy of Stats, and Stats did not have detection with his main army, but GunGFuBanDa did not have enough Dark Templar. It was only 2, and they were putting in some work. Those 2 Dark Templar, they were putting in work on Stats' main force, but it still was not enough. You know, his main army still crumbled before the might of Stats. There was just too many Stalkers, too many Immortals, and again, Stats did hit before there were too many Archons here for GunGFuBanDa, or just too much in general. GG, well played. Stats kick things off with a 2-0, and this is going to be a rough start for Berserker. Tis a rough start. Again, GunGFuBanDa did need to put some points on the board here to against Stats to give his team a chance, and now the onus lies on his teammates. Up next, Keen versus DNS. Now, this is going to be another interesting one. For those that are curious, Keen did retire. Keen, he was competing. Keen retired, then he came back, and then he retired again, and then he came back again. Keen was retired for quite some time, but he got picked up by Kwangdong Freaks last year, or was it the year before that? I think it was last year. He was competing in WTL for Kwangdong Freaks, and then Kwangdong Freaks disbanded, and a lot of the KDF players also retired. Armani did retire. He posted on Instagram, you know, his retirement. Keen also retired as well with the disbandment of Kwangdong Freaks, which is why I was surprised. I was shocked to see, with Twisted Fairy coming into the season, they announced the pickup. They announced Keen. Keen, he looks like he's back. He got picked up by Twisted Fairy. Twisted Fairy, they now have a full Korean roster, which is impressive. And we'll see what kind of shape Keen is in. This is the thing. Like, Keen, he's a great player, and he's got a legacy behind him. You know, the Keen clap? Who does not remember the Keen clap, Papi? Oh, it's beautiful. But the reality is that after the disbandment of Kwangdong Freaks, I don't know how much Keen has been playing. I don't know how active he's been. We haven't seen Keen compete in months, in a long time here, so this is the first, and I'm curious to see what his form is in. As in the top left-hand corner, we have Keen for Twisted Fairy. And in the bottom left, we have his opponent. We have DNS for Berserker eSports. Oh. Here we go. And yeah, I assume so. I see Sleep Count in the chat how, winding it back, stats, he did scout the Dark Shrine, but the assumption would be that he didn't click on the Dark Shrine. That would have to be our assumption. And I mean, it would make sense why there would be no cannons there, as maybe he just assumed that it was going to be a cannon or a shield battery instead. But I mean, regardless, you know, in the end, the DTs did not even matter there. Stats, he had enough to break through. But again, focusing on this series, I'm really curious to see the form, the shape of Keen, more than anything. As I just want to double check when the last time Keen did compete. I want to say it was last year, but let's have a look. Matches, it was, yeah, last year. It was last year, December of 2023. It was when he last competed for Kwangdong Freaks. So again, it's been quite some time. it's been like 5-6 months. It's been like 5 months since he last competed in StarCraft. So yeah, we'll see the shape of Keen. Commander Keen, he has returned. For now, he's going for an economic opener. It's going to be a Rax expand. Economic start by Keen. Meanwhile, DNS going for a gate expand, or sorry, a gate cyber expand back at home as well. So nothing too crazy as we load into Amphion. So far, standard builds. Catching up in the chat. That was the way to end the game. Oh, it's fine. You have to call sentries bubble buddies? Oh no, that's not gonna happen. That's not happening, Papi. That's not happening. I remember WTL puts out penalties for no webcam. Yes, yes. If you don't have a webcam a week, then WTL, they will dish out penalties for that. That is true. It's true. But for now, we are just settling into this. Ooh, behind this, you see Keen going for a third CC. Okay, you have my attention, Papi. As we get into our openers, DNS is going for a Stargate opener. This, I imagine, is going to be for Phoenixes. Could be an Oracle-based opener, but I imagine Phoenixes to gain map control. Speaking of, there it is. The first Phoenix is on the way. This is the beginning of Phoenix Colossus. A very standard, very by-the-book kind of build and play style here from DNS in the PvT matchup. Reaper dips in. The Reaper will scout and confirm the Stargate. We also confirm the first unit coming out. So nice moves here by Keen. Ooh, likewise, DNS does shut down the Reaper, but the Reaper pays for itself. The Reaper did get a full scout of the main base. Keen is aware of what's going on. And I mentioned before that this is a 3cc build before Starport. Very economic, very greedy build here by Keen. Now, if DNS had gone for a blink-based build, and if he had scouted this and responded with like 3-gate blink or even 4-gate blink, then Keen would be in trouble. Because of this fast 3rd CC, tank production would be delayed, and Keen would be vulnerable to Blink Stalker aggression. But because it's a Stargate opener, there's nothing that DNS can do. DNS, he can harass. That's true, he can harass with Phoenixes, but he can't really push in anytime soon. So Keen, he gets away with it. He gets away with his build for now. DNS likewise goes for a 3rd Nexus behind this. He is getting into his own economy. But this is a pretty good start for Keen overall. For a Terran player to rush into a 3rd and to get away with it in this kind of matchup is impressive. And it can snowball out of control in the mid game. It's going to be on DNS to pick away at the economy, to delay the 3rd base more importantly. Again, just because Keen has a 3rd CC does not mean he can land it. DNS, he can vie for map control and vie for control of that 3rd base location as well. Now, one of the big features of this map of Amphion is the fact that the 3rd base is quite secure. That's the other big thing. To gain access to the triangular 3rd, you have to mine through minerals or you have to break down rocks. It's a little bit awkward. It's not as easy to get to. You have to kind of work towards that location ahead of time, and DNS has not done so. So Keen is looking quite secure here. On top of that, the 3rd base location, outside of breaking down rocks or mining through minerals, it is also on high ground. There's a ramp leading up into the 3rd, so it's that much more secure. So I'm liking the build so far by Keen on this map. Meanwhile, DNS does at least have map control, and we mentioned earlier that this is the beginning of Phoenix Colossus. There it is, there's the Robo, Safety Immortal first, followed by the Bay, followed by Colossus production. Again, this is kind of like a standard gets in TVP. Like a solid build here by DNS. But I guess Keen is doing a good job at counteracting this and doing a good job at maybe not punishing this per se by doing any economic damage or punishing the 3rd or punishing the tech, but just getting into his own greed and able to get into the swing of things. Meanwhile, 3rd CC is being taken. We can see that we're checking the triangular 3rd. Like DNS, he's looking for the 3rd base, but it's being taken over at the linear location instead. This I was not expecting. Okay. So Keen floating it over towards the right-hand side, taking the linear 3rd instead. So far unscattered, I believe. But Keen, he's getting it up and running. Here we go. The army going to be snimming on out. Pieces have been spotted. Keen is aware. Extendable Lances on the way, +1, charge. DNS just getting into all of his tech, getting into all of his upgrades. The map control that he once had with those Phoenixes has been stripped away, and to be honest, these Phoenixes didn't really get too much done. I was expecting maybe a couple of SCV kills, maybe even disrupting the production, but no, DNS was a little bit more passive with them. I mean, it does mean that he has kept his Phoenixes alive, that is true, but he has achieved far less with them than I was hoping for. And now Keen has map control, he's hunting down those Phoenixes, he's vying for map control, he shuts down a pylon. Looking to hunt down any stray zealots or probes. Marine Scout does confirm the 3rd base, also confirms the location of the Colossus, and confirms that there even are Colossus. You can see DNS diving on that, medevac, and he will get it! Ooh, big pick off. Yeah, Keen with a slow reaction there. Does lose a medevac, that is pretty huge. A very valuable pick off as DNS will expand and take a 4th. And DNS, he's about to hit critical mass. What I mean by that is that we have 2 Colossi, we're about to hit 3. With 3 Colossi, we can start diverting our tech here and work towards Storm or work towards Disruptor production. Archons. Right, DNS, he now has a solid backbone to his army, but what about that meat? What about the Zealots, the Gateway army? We're still lacking a little bit there, and here comes Keen. He's going for the 4th. And we're investing quite heavily here into Marauder production. We have Vikings on the way, making 4 Vikings at a time. That's a lot of Vikings! Oh my god! I just saw! That's a lot of Vikings that Keen has banking up in the natural. And remember, oh, we're pulling the, oh my god, we're not just pulling the boys! Every single worker at the 3rd and the natural base. Keen going for a 3 base all in! Ah yeah, that's a lot of boys, papi. Here we go! Keen with a massive amount of Vikings. Remember, he had a boosted economy. He was able to bust into or get into this production well ahead of time. He has a massive army as a result. And now we're pushing through. Yeah, we focus down the Colossi overcharge, putting in some work. That Colossus takes a lot of hits, but the rest of the army is crumbling. We break through the Zealots. We're getting on top of the Immortals. A lot of SCVs go down. The Colossi, they stand strong. Oh my god, the overcharge. The shield batteries were insane. We have 4 shield batteries. Nova goes off and DNS holds. DNS, he does hold on. I can't believe it. That one Colossus took the entire brunt of the army. We had like 8 Vikings, the Marines, the Marauders, everything stimmed on forward, and that Colossus refused to die. The overcharge was insane. And DNS holds on. GG gets hold. DNS takes game 1. That was crazy. GG, Papi. GG. I'm a little bit in shock there. Like, there's so much to talk about what just happened. Like, on the one hand, again, I still want to praise Keen because that was a terrifying push, you know, for him to be greedy, to rush into a third base, to have a booming economy, to make use of that, and to be able to not quite max out, but amass a terrifying army the way he did. He didn't bleed out any Marines or Marauders in the process either. He had an insane army, and he pulled 36 SCVs. That was a lot of boys pulled. Unfortunately for Keen, when he pushed in, DNS already was in position. Like, he didn't really see the army coming ahead of time, but his Colossus were already parked at the third base. He had all 3 Colossi. He had 4 shield batteries. Like, Keen did not know this ahead of time. He did not know he was pushing into 4 shield batteries of all things, plus the overcharge. I mean, we expected the overcharge, but like, DNS had the most ideal defensive setup there for what was coming his way. Like, he was so prepared for a push, for an assault there at that third, with so many shield batteries, with the overcharge, with everything being already in position. And yeah, DNS, he shut it down. It was close though. Like, that Colossus was so close to going down. It was deep in the red there, and GG. The power of the overcharge is what I have to say. That was crazy. GG, well played. Congratulations, DNS takes game number 1. And now we're getting into game numero 2. As being said, the Observer was over the army. There we go. Observer was over the army, so he was ready for it to come towards that third base. Did miss that. Did miss the Observer. I missed the Observer because, like, I was so focused on the boys being, like, I had to focus on the boys, Papi. Oh my god. But yeah, that was an impressive push there by Keen, but likewise, DNS, he was able to prepare there in time at that third location. GG, and I feel for Keen, not gonna lie, like, outside of course, the push being scouted, like, it feels like everything kind of went his way, or I should say, when I say everything went his way, the build that he had in mind was well executed, is what I should say, right? Like, he came into this game clearly with a plan, right? With a 3-base all-in. And from at least Keen's side of things, he did everything the way that he should have. Of course, right, because DNS was able to see it ahead of time, he was able to prepare himself, and that's another factor that comes into play as well. Unfortunately, Keen wasn't able to spot that or even deny the scout, or do a better job at hiding his build, but here we go, we're getting into game number 2. In the top left, we have Keen, and in the top right, we have DNS for Berserker eSports. Whew, let's go. 3 more Vikings and the overcharge doesn't matter. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, again, the overcharge was barely keeping that Colossus alive, but like, that was so close. Like, whether it's 3 more Vikings, whether it's even 2 more Marauders, like, whatever it would have been, just like a handful of extra units would have been enough to break that. And then the dominoes would have fell, right? Like, then things would start snowballing out of control. Once that first Colossus falls, everything falls. So that was just that was an intense moment, a very intense moment there. Aye. Clutch Colossi. Oh, is that why you're called Colossal Gulp? I'm just piecing it together. I mean, I've known for a long time that Colossi in the chat, Colossal Gulp, he is a Protoss enjoyer. Has been for a long time, but yeah, I mean, that's where the name comes from. True. So as we're settling into game 2. Now, Ghost River is an interesting one. I have to say, Ghost River is an interesting map choice here by Keen, bearing in mind that it is a loser's pick. It is loser's pick here for our players. Keen opting to go for Ghost River. Has a short rush distance by ground, and I would not be surprised if he has another all-in planned. I would not be surprised if he has another all-in, whether it's, you know, 2-base, 3-base based, yet to be determined. I expect aggression out of Keen. this is a bit of a double-edged sword. We have seen some late game, I say late game, but we've seen some macro play on Ghost River just because even though the rush distance by ground is so short, at the same time, you can turtle up quite hard on this map. Specifically because of all these ramps. There's so many ramps leading in towards the natural, towards the third base location. You can end up turtling and situating yourself in such a way where you can kind of cut the map in half. That is true. But we'll see if we can get there. We'll see if we can get to that point. As for now, Keen going for a rack expand into a factory. Economical opener for the time being. We'll see if he goes for another fast third CC. Or we'll see if he goes for another build entirely. DNS carrying the team at this point. I mean, I would say that DNS is the ace player of Berserker eSports. If you remember, I would say that DNS was the ace player of Platinum Heroes 2 seasons ago before they picked up Firefly. I do think that he's a very valuable pickup. For those that are unaware, DNS is a new pickup for Berserker eSports. I'm pretty sure DNS was picked up specifically for this season of WTL, and clearly he's shown his worth, right? He's shown his value here over the past couple of weeks. You know, we're not Platinum Heroes for letting him go as well. I'm shaking my head. As it was last week that DNS took a map of Max Packs. If you weren't watching last week's WTL, DNS, he did bring Max Packs down. I will say that you can make an argument that maybe GunGFuBanDa is the ace player of Berserker. It's hard to say with GunGfu. Like, I always say this and I still stand by it. GunGFuBanDa is very hit and miss. He's not very consistent, unfortunately. At the same time, like, when he's on point, he's on point. Like, when he's a beast, he's near unstoppable. But it's all about being able to bring that kind of A game on the day, right? It's about being able to showcase that skill when it matters most. I'm sure we'll get to see that GunGFuBanDa in the coming weeks. I'm sure. Be able to come back stronger, bounce back harder. As for now, we're just going to be going for our tech of choice. Now, I should mention as well that this time DNS is not going for a Stargate opener. This makes sense. I spoke last game about how a Stargate opener is a little bit more macro-oriented. It gives you map control. It allows you to get into your Colossus, into a 3-base setup. On a smaller map like Ghost River, I think it's risky. We've seen many players try and go Stargate and fail and fall on their face and just be crushed by these more early game pushes. So DNS playing it safe, going for a Blink-based build instead. Has plenty of Stalkers to work with. The army does right, but we have a shield battery, we have an overcharge. Blinks are looking good. And DNS holds. DNS, he's cleaning up every single Marine here. We get some lock-ons, but not a single Stalker goes down. Clean defense here by DNS, and Keen bleeds out a lot of Marines. You can see DNS even trying to hunt him down. Oh my god, calm down, Bobby. Chasing him back. Ooh, as DNS gets dragged out onto the map, though, we have a Liberator moving out to harass, hitting that natural base. At the same time, though, do we get the medevac? We don't, but we do get a Cyclone. At the same time, here comes the Liberator towards that natural base. Probes are going down, and DNS is committing. Boys are being pulled. SCVs are falling. Even though DNS is losing probes back at home, he's getting SCV kills. He's making it worth it. Takes down the Cyclone, Marines, SCVs. 8 workers go down. And DNS defends back at home. He shuts down the Lib. The CC under fire. There's a tank on the high ground, but it's out of range. The tank, it can't help here. Yeah, as we are reinforcing with another wave of Stalkers. Again, it was 3-gate blink here from DNS. He's got a third base behind this. By the way, DNS is not all in, but he's punishing the aggression of Keen. Tank goes down. Does not siege in time. You do have the Order turret, but this is just game-ending damage. This is just far too much. DNS is snowballing out of control. Getting 19 SCV kills. And the tank. And we're not done warping in 3 Stalkers at a time. As a reminder behind this, we have a Forge for upgrades. We have Charge on the way. Third base. We're probing. DNS getting ahead in the economy. And, of course, getting ahead in the army. As we blink into the main, there's only one tank. It cannot cover the production. And we can just camp it. Oh no, the tank! No, the tank goes down. Raven as well. GG gets called, and DNS takes the series 2-0 and fights back for Berserker eSports. GG. Bah. GG, well played. A solid result here from DNS. He does bounce back. He does fight back for himself, for his team. And we are tied up 2-2. Let's go, buddy. Let's go. GG, well played. With that, DNS will give his team a fighting chance, but now it comes down to our next series. Again, like, I'm always here to praise DNS and how he has been improving so much over the past couple of years. Keen, I mentioned before, recently came back from retirement. Still uncertain as to, you know, where his skill level is at the moment in his return. Wasn't looking too bad in these games, but alas, did fall prey to DNS. Game 2 was punished for his aggression, did overextend, and Keen just wasn't able to survive that counterattack. But here in the third series, the pressure is on Berserker. Here comes the ace for Twisted Fairy. We may have seen the ace for Berserker eSports. Again, whether you want to argue it's GunGFuBanDa or DNS, they have already had their performances. Now here comes Classic, one of the best Protoss in the world. Here we go. Here we go. Again, Classic, he is top 2 Protoss in Korea. I would say he's top 2 alongside Hero. Hero is number 1, Classic's number 2. When it comes to the world ranking, would I say Classic is top 3, just under Hero and MaxPax? I think I would. I think I would say that. I think I would rate and rank Classic above Showtime. I think I would say that for the time being, but we'll see. You know, DreamHack Dallas is around the corner, and in that tournament we can see a lot of these big names show off once again and kind of see how they compare against each other. Regardless, Classic is a big name, and the pressure is on BattleB. Oh boy, here we go. Now, if this goes for a tied series 1-1, then it goes to the ace match. You know, it goes to the ace match if we get a 1-1 score. If it's a 2-0 in either direction, the series ends, and it'll be that player's team taking the series. A 2-0 is what our players are looking for. Again, it's going to be an uphill battle here for BattleB. Now, what I will say is that BattleB has been impressing us. He has been impressing us, and what I love about WTL is that WTL adds a different factor: preparation. Right, our players, they spend quite an amount of time preparing for their specific opponents on these specific maps. On top of that, we see a lot of upsets in WTL. The reason for this is because our players come in with a specialized build in Game 2. What I mean by that is that if BattleB loses Game 1, I'm sure he has a build and a map planned for Game number 2, something that Classic isn't quite ready for and can catch him off guard. And it happens time and time again, where maybe an underdog player is able to bounce back in that second game after a loss. So that's another kind of X factor in WTL. But here we go, we're diving into this. Classic in the top right and BattleB in the bottom left. Let's go. Let us go. So we have entered our third best of 3. Meanwhile, if you're in the chat, I believe predictions have closed. I think predictions have already wrapped up. So I wish you all the best in said predictions, and I hope you all got them in while you could. Catching him in the chat. I think it's hard to rate Classic versus stats, really. I would not agree with that. Creator, there's also Nightmare. I agree with all of that, and I would still rank Classic above them. Yes, there is Nightmare. There is Creator as well. There is stats. There is. There's our players. Here we go. I have loved Nightmare's rise recently. I don't know if you've seen, but Nightmare has been taking down a lot of Terran players as of late. Recently beating Cure, recently beating Clem. Nightmare always looking dominant in that PvT matchup. Always. Have to show our respect. Always. It's very easy into our game. When it comes to the map itself, when it comes to Alcyone, this is a much larger map, and the map pool does lead to more longer games as well. Not saying that all-ins aren't unheard of. No, not at all. We have seen plenty of all-ins on this map. Plenty. But at the same time, we have seen even more longer late games, right? You can secure yourself on 3 and 4 bases quite easily here. You gain access to the goal base as well as a 5th or even as a 4th if you so choose to, and the map can be cut in half. We haven't seen any late game yet here tonight, but we could. If it were to be on any map, this would be it. But now we're getting into our builds. And it was a rack expand here from BattleB, getting to his factory follow-up. Probe does recall back home. And yet to determine the tech of choice here for Classic. Classic failed to qualify for GSL. He did fail to qualify. Again, we casted the Code A qualifiers on our channel, if you remember. We were talking about how in that loss, Classic had to he would have to like focus so much harder in these online events, in events like WTL as well, after failing to qualify. And he's been getting some damn good results here, which is what we expect. Twilight Council openers on the way. As a reminder, it's going to be a Twilight Council for Blink, not going to be a Stargate for Phoenixes or anything of the sort. I assume it's going to be Blink. We have seen some players dabble in charge-based openers or even Dark Shrines as well. But there it is. We have our confirmation. We have Blink on the way for Classic. Blink is on the way. 2 more gateways get thrown down. Okay, so it's going to be 3-gate Blink for Classic, at least initially. Something a little bit more aggressive as he does hunt down that Reaper as well. Ooh, big pick off here. I believe BattleB was not quite able to scout the main base of Classic. Was not able to confirm what exactly was going on. The pressure is on BattleB here to figure that out. He's going for a medevac behind this. Moving out with his Cyclones. But now I believe it's still 3 gateways from the side of Classic. He does end up outmaneuvering the army. Gets across the map. Thankfully, we have the medevac, we have the Cyclone. Can we focus on any SCVs? Ooh, both Stalkers go down. Big pickoff here by BattleB. Very nicely done. Shuts down the Stalkers. Will lead out one of those Cyclones, but he gets another Stalker. These are big pickoffs, by the way. Stalkers, especially with this kind of opener, are so valuable early on. They're so expensive as well. So 3 Stalkers go down. Good stuff for BattleB. Does push in towards that natural. Tank production has commenced. And again, Classic did want to be aggressive behind this, but he has been stifled. He has been slowed down quite a bit. BattleB throwing down 2 more Raxes. I believe just a 3-1-1 setup. Yep, 3-1-1. Not investing into any additional Raxes yet. Keep an eye on that. Classic does move out. Ooh, good micro out of BattleB. Saves the Cyclone. Let's go. Does save the Cyclone, but he will lose everything else, though. Marines are being shut down. And Classic is transitioning back at home. We do have our Nexus on the way. We have our Bay as well for eventually Immortal production. For Colossus production. Ooh, as Classic dives on the tank. That I'm not so sure about. Does get the tank, but he bleeds out even more Stalkers. I believe that was 3 more Stalkers going down. Another tank does arrive. Classic has to calm things down. Wild move there from Classic, but at least he does preserve some Stalkers to contain his opponent. And the loss of that tank means that BattleB's upcoming push is going to be delayed. It is going to be delayed, but Classic is playing with fire right now. Third CC's on the way behind this, so it's not going to be a 2-base all-in from BattleB. Is getting into his 3rd. We have Stim, Combat Shields +1 on the way. We're settling into a longer game. We spoke about it. If there were ever to be a bit of a longer macro game in this series, it would be, at least on this map, on Akione. And that's what we're getting. For the first time, we're settling into our 3 bases. Building up our production, getting our 4th and 5th racks on the way. And the game is going to be slowing down here for a moment. BattleB isn't really going to be active until he gets Stim. So until Stim comes out, he's going to be chilling back at home. Then he can be active with some drop play or even push out. Likewise, Classic's going to be chilling back at home as well until he builds up a Colossus count. So both players are calming things down. You can see BattleB moving out to expand and take his 3rd. Landing on location. Likewise, Classic up, even fending out some pylons. You can see on the minimap there, he's got 2 pylons on the right-hand side. He's got vision on the left as well. getting eyes on any kind of drop play. Yeah, very nice map vision here from Classic. And the hallucination will confirm the third base timing. So now he confirms there's no 2-base all-in. Confirms that his opponent is expanding, saturating. Does confirm the army location as well. Ooh, I'm loving this proxy location. This is to reinforce and to backstab, essentially, going for these run-bys across the map. Classic did have control of the Zonaga. He backs off. Ooh, and Classic getting ready for a big tech switch. Do you see what I see? I see a Stargate on the way and +1 air attack. Now, we have seen Classic do this in the past, and I should have mentioned it earlier, but he's been very fond of rushing into Skytoss, in this matchup specifically. Against Terran, we've seen Classic get away with rushing into carrier production, at times even Tempest, and we'll see if that's going to be the plan here. Does manage to get a medevac. At the same time, you can see BattleB's main army pushing right through the center. The Colossi are out of position, by the way. Classic, does he have match at home to defend? Well, the answer is no. Do we have a recall? We have a warp in. And the army dives into the mineral line. Would you have a recall? Forcing back the army with the Colossi. We should shut this down. We go for the disable. BattleB trying to force his way in. And tank volley's going to be going off. Good control so far with the Colossi, but the shield battery goes down. There's just not enough support though. Ooh, good target firing. We get a Colossus. Not a bad trade by BattleB. Not a bad trade, but he has to back off. Did bleed out some SCVs. Stargate is done. +1 air attack is about to finish, but losing a Colossus there, losing so much of that army means that Classic has to rebuild, and he can't quite invest into Skytoss. And there we go. Templar Archives on the way. Again, rushing into a fleet beacon can kill you. It's a big investment here into tech that isn't helping here and now, and BattleB soon to push out again. And Classic has to take it seriously. He spots the army. Classic backs off, going for another Zealot counterattack. Bunker still on the way back at home, or I should say SimCity. The mine shots go off. The mine's going to be shut down. This drags BattleB back home. He's wary of the Zealot run by, and Classic is stabilizing. He's settling into his 4-base setup, rebuilding his Colossus count, getting into disruptors. He still only has 1 robo. Bear that in mind. He hasn't built a 2nd robo yet. Not yet. Again, I'm curious if he builds a 2nd robo or if he goes for a bay. Sorry, goes for a fleet beacon, is what I meant to say. Storm is in production. 2nd Stargate. This should coincide with a fleet beacon. There it is. Fleet beacon's on the way. Okay, this is a bold move. So Classic is cutting corners, and because he opted not to throw down a 2nd robo, if he bleeds out some of these Colossi, it's going to be so difficult to replace. Classic, he's taking a risk here. He's playing on a knife's edge. Going for another big Zealot run by. Winter Mine shot's going to be going off. Big connections on the Zealots. Got that 2nd Stargate about to finish up. Fleet Beacon still on the way. Classic rushing into a 5th. He's being so greedy. Oh my god. Rushing into a 5th base even though he doesn't have map control. Zealot run by gets cleaned up, and BattleB backs off. BattleB, he has not scouted, by the way. He does not know the tech that Classic is rushing into. Zealot run by comes in once again, dragging away the reinforcements of BattleB. This time it looks like he wants to commit with his main army though. He's got Ghosts, he's got Vikings. Disable on the Colossus. Novas go off, but they do not connect. Third Nova will take down a big chunk of Marines. The Colossi go down. Where's the Storm? The EMPs were too good. All the High Templar were EMP'd, but the Disruptors survive, and that's good enough. The Disruptors did make it out, and carriers are on the way. BattleB lost a big chunk of his army there. Now, to be fair, he did kill the Colossus. All the Colossus did go down. And we need to keep pushing. BattleB, he has to kill Classic before those carriers become too much of a problem. The problem is he doesn't know. Like, if he was aware that there would be so much more pressure on BattleB to push in, and he'd be much more assertive, I'm sure. Yeah, Yeah, the Zealot Rumbites, they're just continuing a Death Warping in as well. Yeah, outraging that planetary. Getting more and more SCV kills, but BattleB, he's pushing. We do have EMPs available. Never goes up. Raises the army. We have 2 more Novas behind this. With my shot here on the Archon. We do rotate around, we go for the 5th. 5th base is going to go down again. This 5th was so bold of Classic. It's so exposed and it does fall. Good pickoff by BattleB. He has maxed out, but here comes the Mothership. Mothership's on the way. The first 2 carriers, they have arrived, I believe. And Classic is soon to max out himself. The supply block isn't helping. No, okay, we're good. Now is not the time. Clean feed. We're popping off. No shot. Oh, yeah, the clean feed is having some problems here. And I mentioned before that we are casting from a clean feed. Everyone is. And... Okay, we're going back. Ay. Don't scare me like that. SC boy. Ay, okay, we're good. Whew, okay, the gold base is being taken as a backup 5th. Additional carrier production has commenced. Both armies are maxed out. And BattleB's going for a split push. He's got an army towards the right-hand side. He's got his main force towards the left. Scan, I believe, does catch a glimpse of the army. And we dive on the gold. We do force a cancel, pushing in towards the 4th. Classic is keeping up. Vikings leading the charge, going for the carriers. Again, we're aware. Here come the storms. Good EMPs here from BattleB, but the Novas, they're too good. A massive Novas on the army. Oh my god. Who cares about the storms? I didn't see a single storm, by the way, but the Novas, they were good enough. Classic, he can handle his balls. BattleB does take them to the face. He has to retreat. And you can see BattleB plummet in supply. Both armies were maxed, by the way. Both armies were maxed out. And now Classic takes a 50 army supply lead. And he's going to keep pushing. Classic has momentum on his side. They're rushing on forward. Nova zoning back the army. Reinforcements on the way. High Templar forced to morph into Archons. I mean, they don't have any NG anyway. They can't storm. And the Mothership has arrived. Seriously, he can handle his... He can! He can handle them. He's cracked. Ay. As the Concave is looking good here for BattleB, but the Novas, once again, they do spread out. They do connect in the slow zone as well. A brutal fight for BattleB. We had some good EMPs. But Classic, he's breaking through. He does bust through the main army towards the 3rd base, and that's going to be everything that BattleB had left. GG gets called, and Classic takes game number 1. Whew. GG. Fuck. Oh my god. GG, well played. Classic again. We've seen him time and time again rush into Skytoss and get away with it against even the best Terran players out there in the world. We've seen him do it against players like Cure, like Clem, like Maru. But he was struggling a little bit here against BattleB. You saw that Classic was maybe being a little bit too greedy. BattleB able to punish him as well, able to have quite a number of moments in this game, especially early on. I should bring things back. Remember the openers. The openers were in favor of BattleB. For Classic to go for 3-gate blink, for throwaways so many stalkers, to be punished for that as well, for BattleB to gain map control, was a big deal, was a big moment for BattleB, but unfortunately BattleB could not break Classic. I do think that if BattleB knew what Classic was doing, then maybe it could have, right? If he had some kind of sign to be more aggressive, to be in the face of Classic, to be aware that Classic was, again, working towards like +1 air attack, additional Stargates, a fleet beacon. We saw moments where Classic was vulnerable, especially after he lost his Colossus. Remember, there was that moment, there was that one big fight where Classic lost 3 Colossi and did survive, and BattleB was able to rebuild, but he didn't keep pushing. He was a little bit more passive, he was a little bit more defensive, a little bit less sure of himself, and Classic was able to abuse that. And with that, we're now getting into game number 2. It's going to be Classic's map of choice, sorry, BattleB's map of choice. We're loading in to Oceanborn. Let's go. Speaking of spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have Classic for Twisted Fairy. And in the bottom right-hand corner, we have BattleB for Berserker eSports. And what I should emphasize here is that BattleB didn't look bad in that game. He did not look bad at all. I mean, there were some rough moments, sure, especially when it came to the Purification Overs. Well, yeah, we don't have to talk about the balls anymore. It's fine, puppy, it's fine. Oh, God. But outside of that, BattleB was playing very well. It was playing very well. It was keeping pace with Classic. Again, if he was maybe a little bit more aware of what was going on, we were seeing some different decision-making happening there as well from BattleB. But BattleB, week after week, time and time again, he has been impressing us here in WTL. And can he force that ace match? Can he tie things up and take us to Game 7? I'm hoping so. I mean, I'm greedy like that. I want all the games, papi, all the games. Give us an ace match. Give. Catching up with the chat. That temple was storming the Vikings. Yeah, that was storming the Vikings. Technically, they're called fleet bacons because they sizzle. Oh, you're making me hungry, Pop. You're making me hungry. His balls are so big. Oh, as BattleB was forced to cancel his CC there for a moment. Bit of a shaky start there, canceling the command center. It's not the biggest of deals. We're going to be able to just rebuild and get back into our build. But that is quite a bit of minerals lost early on. Not an ideal start for BattleB. Not ideal. Again, he has a little bit less experience with some of these players, but you can see there that it was misplaced. You can see there that it was throwing down a little bit too close, so maybe a little bit of nerves. Maybe a little bit of nerves getting to BattleB when it came to that kind of misplacement. So I'm a little bit concerned, and after that cancel, which Classic did see, I believe, we're going for a proxy pylon. Not just a pylon, gateways on the way. Oh boy. So we're going to be seeing some early gateway aggression here at a Classic. With the gateway being thrown down, we should be able to reinforce with adepts, with stalkers. The Q move with the Reaper, it does hide it. Behind this, setting up for a second Rax before the starport. Interesting. Go. And it's not just going to be a proxy gateway across the map, it's going to be a third gateway back at home as well, so it's going to be 3-gate aggression early on here by Classic. Oh boy, and we'll see if BattleB can keep up. He's amassing Reapers as we speak. He's actually continuing to react to our Reapers, oh my god. Going Reaper Cyclone. How will this fare against the army that Classic is going to be amassing? Warp Gate is done. Warp Gate finishing up on these gateways. And here we go, we're warping in across the map. Cyclone has been spotted. Classic dragging it out onto the map. Does get some hits in. Yeah, big Stalker Shot's going to be going off at the same time. Reapers are revealed. Here we go, the battle has commenced. Cyclone going to be focused out at the same time we do zone away some of those Stalkers. One Stalker goes down. We trade a Stalker for a Cyclone. Yeah, BattleB, he's chasing this back. I say that, but here come the reinforcements. We take down the Cyclone survives. The repairs. BattleB going to be able to top that Cyclone up. He does barely hold on. Classic bleeding out a lot of Stalkers already. He was not expecting this kind of army to be waiting for him. Does get another Reaper, but Classic has to back off. Another Warp in behind this. Another 3 Stalkers coming to reinforce. Classic, he may be able to overwhelm this army. Gets the Cyclone. Going for the Marauder as well. The Stalker's taking a lot of damage. Another Cyclone arrives just in time. Yeah, BattleB, he's holding onto the ramp. Holding onto his natural. Now, what's scary about what's happening here is that Classic delayed his tech. Like, there's no Twilight Council. No Twilight Council, no Stargate, no Phoenixes, no Blink, no nothing. Because of his 3-gate aggression. Behind this, he's going for a Robo. So Classic, he's going to struggle scaling into the mid-game. But he does get the Marauder. Going for the Cyclone once again. Classic still trying to force the issue here. Oh god, god, those Cyclones getting quite low. Classic, he's doubling down. Going for more warp-ins. I mean, he knows at this point, because he delayed his tech, he needs to commit. Does need to. Breaking through some of these Marines. He's bleeding out too many Stalkers. Yeah, BattleB, he shuts this down completely. Oh my god, almost every single Stalker falling. One Stalker survives. And BattleB, he has momentum on his side. Stim is about to finish, and it's done. Yeah, we stim on forward. We focus on another 2 Stalkers, another 3 Stalkers as well. BattleB, back. Now, back at home, Classic is not all in. He's going for a 3rd Nexus. He's going for a mortar production and soon to be Colossi, but he's bleeding out far too much. Another Stalker goes down. Oh, this warp-in was a bit of a mistake. Classic bleeding out 2 more Stalkers. Very efficient trades here by BattleB. Now, Classic is trying to recover. And again, Classic's win condition, or his way to stabilize, is Colossus. The first Colossus is on the way. But we already have Stim. We are amassing it Marauders. 1 Colossus is not going to be enough. Now the question becomes, is BattleB going to wait for his medevacs, or do we just push out here and now? And we're pushing. I like this. Again, if BattleB waited for the medevacs, then it could be too late, right? At that point, we'd have shield batteries, we'd have overcharges, we'd have Colossi. I mean, we still have 1 shield battery here on the location. Can a BattleB break through? The army is spotted. Classic does have sentries. He has force fields. Yeah, we're backing off for now. We're luring the army out of position. And where's your shield battery now? Good concave here by BattleB. Does him on forward. Gets the sentries, but does not get the robo units. BattleB again. He was hoping to drag that army out to catch the Colossi. Didn't quite get it. Classic holds. Classic does hold on. And now we're getting to the 2nd Colossus. Gateway Explosion, +1 behind this as well. The game will progress. We're settling into the mid-game here. As we're settling in, I still have to favor BattleB. The Twilight Council just finished, and now we finally have Blink. Again, this Blink is so late for Classic. War Prism's on the way behind this as well. That'll help with juggling. That'll help with harassing. I do like this, though. I do like that BattleB is moving out now. Before we can get into these upgrades, before Classic can stabilize, Classic, he still hasn't caught up. He still hasn't stabilized yet. Classic, you can see him going for the 4th base. BattleB doesn't just have to go for the army. He could even, if he gets eyes on the 4th, could even try and deny it. Could try to force a cancel. For now, he's moving out. We have the War Prism towards the left-hand side. War Prism looking for a backstab of Zealots. BattleB, you can see he's checking the triangular, or the linear 4th base location on the left-hand side. I don't think he's quite seen top right yet. But he is moving out. He does come across the War Prism. He sims on in and he doesn't quite get the Prism. Does escape. But the War Prism does force BattleB to back off. And that means that Classic gets away with this 4th. He gets away with his 4th base. Classic getting up towards 3 Colossi. I think he has 2 at the moment. No, my apologies. He's up to 3 already. Some 3 Colossi, getting to Immortals. Blink is about to finish. 2nd Robo's on the way. Templar Archive. 2nd Robo tells us that unlike game number 1, Classic isn't cutting corners. He's not trying to rush into carrier production again. I mean, he wouldn't be able to here, not with this kind of game state. So Classic, he's respecting BattleB, trying to stabilize and trying to get into a stronger ground army instead. With Disruptors, with Colossi, Prism moves out, runs into the army! Oh my god. Do you manage to back off? Classic does escape once again. Spots the drop, more importantly. So Classic, he should be in position to protect that 4th and the 3rd. Yeah, he's splitting up his forces. Storm is on the way. To counteract that Storm, we're getting into Ghost production, EMPs. Here we go. There we go, as BattleB is pushing on the right-hand side, knocking down those rocks. Classic somewhat in position. Not sure how many shield batteries he has at that fourth, as at the same time he's going for that backstab. Does BattleB have much back at home? He's about to max out, by the way. Oh, here come the Vikings. They're gunning for that Colossus. Storm still seconds away from finishing. Oh, the Prism parked on top of the turret. Oh my god, the Prism goes down! Classic slipping up here across the map. Prism does fall. We shut down the Zealots, and now BattleB, he can focus on his push. He can focus on the main fight. Overcharge is good, but is it that good? You can see BattleB once again trying to drag the army out of position. Hoping he can fight on his terms. Waiting for reinforcements. Ooh, Disruptors are on the way. That's a lot of High Templar. Storm finished, by the way. Storm is done. Speaking of, we do EMP some of those gateway units. Force Field's going to be thrown down. Vikings going hand. They take down one of the Colossi. But the Force Fields, they do create a choke point here. BattleB can't quite break through. Not yet. Waits out the Force Fields. On top of that, Classic has been so patient with these Storms. He's been so patient with this High Templar. The Disruptor! Wait, the Mine Shot? Not quite going off, but he spots the Disruptor. There we go. Disruptor does go down. The second Nova, not quite connecting. Classic trying to be cheeky there. Unable to. Still has those Storms. See the High Templar leading the charge. I'm loving the split here from Classic. You can see him spread out all of his High Templar to avoid those EMPs. Classic diving in the army. And he is being forced back. Classic, he's holding on. Maintains his Colossi. Reinforcing with 2 more. It's up to 4. Oh my god. A lot of Colossi. Storm on the left-hand army as well. Big Storm. Takes down a lot of Marines. And softens up that flank. BattleB's being forced back. Yeah, and earlier BattleB was up 30 army supply, but now Classic, he's caught up. He's caught up, and now you can see the momentum swing in favor of Classic. Now he's on the field with 3 forms of splash damage. Colossi, Disruptors, and Storm. But it's still going to be all about how he can control this army, how he can engage. Likewise, it's going to be about the EMPs of BattleB. His Viking positioning. Speaking of positioning, BattleB, he's got half his army out on the map. Uh-oh. He's not ready. Classic, he can force a base trade. And we're pushing in. BattleB comes back home. You can see on the minimap, BattleB is racing back home. He's only got half his army here to defend. And his army is going to crumble. We can see coming in from behind. The Storms are too much. GG gets called as BattleB gets out-positioned. And Classic takes the 2-0. GG. Aye. That was so unfortunate there. That was not the time for BattleB to move out. Again, he moved out, I say half his army. He moved out with like 60% of his army. He moved out with most of his forces towards the right-hand side. He was completely out of position. Classic moved in just at the worst moment for BattleB, and BattleB was caught with his pants down. GG, well played. Whew. Congratulations to Classic. Impressive. I mean, let's be real here. Classic was on the back foot. Classic opened up 3 gate. He opened up with 3 gateways. He was hyper aggressive. He was throwing away so many stalkers. He barely held on against the counterattack as well. And again, Classic was on the back foot. But if you remember, Classic's 4th base wasn't delayed. He was able to get into his 4th base. He was able to get into his double robot production, into his Storm, into his Disruptors. We saw that BattleB wasn't quite able to break through those defenses and wasn't able to break the 4th base or even push before that either. Classic was able to barely stabilize, barely hold on, survive, and max out himself. And you saw how things very quickly switched from favor of one player into the other. GG. GG, well played. Impressive stuff there from Classic. And congratulations to Twisted Fairy. My condolences to Berserker eSports. What I will say, though, is that even though BattleB lost 2-0 versus Classic, those were impressive games. Those were impressive games, and it's not like he was outclassed or outskilled. Like, I think we would all agree that, I mean, the disparity between BattleB and Classic, it didn't feel too large. It didn't feel too great. They did feel relatively close in skill there, so again, BattleB has been impressing us and has been looking damn good in WTL. So I look forward to seeing more of him. I look forward to seeing the growth of BattleB, and I look forward to seeing him being able to bring down some of these bigger top tier players. Best of luck. Best of luck out there to Berserker eSports. For now, we're going to be going on a short break. When we return, we're going to be back with our second matchup of the night. We're going to be back with Platinum R8 versus Dragon Kaizi Gaming. See you soon. See you soon. See you soon.